and then I let my eyes drop once more to the face upon the water, and what I saw nearly tumbled me backward into the sea, for the eyes in the dead face had opened, the lips had parted, and one hand was raised toward me in a mute appeal for succor. She lived. She was not dead. I leaned over the boat's side and drew her quickly. Genesis was meant to teach scientific truth, and thus save the veracity of the record at the expense of its authority, or they expend their energies in devising the cruel ingenuities of the reconciler and torture texts in the vain hope of making them confess the creed of science. But when the pine fort at Thor is over, the antique sincerity of the venerable sufferer always reasserts itself. Genesis is honest to the core and professes to be no more than it is until the facts of nature are shown to have been mistaken by those who have collected them, and that they have a different meaning from that now generally assigned to them. I shall therefore consider the transmutation theory as a scientific mistake, untrue in its facts, unscientific in its method, and mischievous in its tendency. Silliman's Journal, July. We had brought the sledges the day before to the starting point of the southern journey. At the beginning of September the temperature rose, and it was decided to commence the journey. On September 8 a party of 8 men set out, with 7 sledges and 90 dogs, provisioned for 90 days. The surface was excellent, and the temperature not so bad as it might have been. But on the following day we saw that we had started too early. The temperature then fell and remained for some days. The misleading significance of words. The people, on their part, may think that cognition is knowing all about things, but the philosopher must say to himself, when I analyze the process that is expressed in the sentence, I think I find a whole series of daring assertions, the argumentative proof of which would be difficult, perhaps impossible. For instance, that it is I underline who think that there must necessarily be something that thinks that thinking is an activity in operation on the law, as quoted, lays down a fair conduct of life, and one not easy to follow. I have been fellow to a beggar again and again under circumstances which prevented either of us finding out whether the other was worthy. I have still to be brother to a prince, though I once came near to kinship with what might have been a veritable king and was promised the reversion of a kingdom, army, law courts, revenue and policy, all complete. But today I greatly fear that my king is dead, and if I want a crown I must go and hunt it for myself. During the War of the Rebellion, a new and influential club was established in the city of Baltimore, in the state of Maryland. It is well known with what energy the taste for military matters became developed among that nation of ship owners, shopkeepers, and mechanics. Simple tradesmen jumped their counters to become extemporized captains, colonels, and generals without having ever passed the school of instruction at West Point. Nevertheless, they quickly rivaled their compeers of the old continent and but the point in which the Americans singularly distanced the Europeans was in the science of gunnery. Not, indeed, that their weapons retained a higher degree of perfection than theirs, but that they exhibit unheard of dimensions and consequently attained hitherto unheard of ranges in point of grazing, plunging, oblique, or enfilading, or point blank firing. The English, French, and Russians have nothing to learn, but their cannon, howitzers, and mortars. This fact need surprise no one. The Yankees, the first mechanicians in the world, are engineers just as the Italians are musicians and the Germans metaphysicians by right of birth. Nothing is more natural, therefore, than to perceive them applying their audacious ingenuity to the science of gunnery. Witness the marvels of Parrott, Dahlgren, and Rodman. The Armstrong, Palliser, and Volugans were compelled to bow before their transatlantic rivals.
Crane, you awake?
Spike, what's going on?
Something bad happened. We need to talk.
Okay, give me a sec. Spike, what's up?
Crane, first of all, you did great out there. From now on, if you need something, come see me. And to start with, use a UV flashlight and a remote control. A volatile, give him a face full of UV or